So I was watching one of Engraven's videos about this list, apparently, that Pro Football Focus did, talking about and trying to project who the top 50 players in the NFL will be. And part of the reason Engraven was talking about that, obviously he talks mainly about the Ravens, is they left Lamar Jackson completely off the list, which is highly questionable, right? That is a bad take. Lamar Jackson won't be one of the best 50 players in the NFL next year. I think that's a weird take. And look, some of y'all, I know, diehard Browns fans gonna tell me Lamar is trash, LOL. Every single move the Browns do defensively, we talk about how it's going to help the Browns stop Lamar Jackson. So that sounds like you're preparing for a top 50 player. But nonetheless, I was watching that video and it made me want to check out this list that he was talking about. What else is on this top 50 list? Like, is there anything that I'm going to personally object to? And, since it's the off season, since we're just kind of counting down the days till training camp, why not react to some foolishness? We've done it a lot recently on this channel. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about this list and how disrespectful it was to one Nicholas Chubb. But before I get into that, I want to make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload. Also, want to give a shout out to the patreon.com dog check tier members, and I'm going to start with Fred Pratt III, David Valtier, Relentless Buck, Chunt, Rex Kaufman, The Real Quincy Carrier, Kevin Johnson, Marino V, Cleveland Cart, Matt H, Sign Sheets, Gemini, Fight Dirty 74, Yo-Yo, Matt Lloyd, Paul Wilcox, Hundo Magnifico, Rob Ferron, Kyle Stouffer, Lukey from Munich, Dave Roth, J Guy 101, Joe Bobby, Brad Calbo, Dylan W, James McGinley, Orenda Hall, Chad Gimme, David Maldonado, Dylan Hale, Josh Bendor, Mark M, TJ Showman, Stuart Moore, Cleveland BCI, Robert Jermaine Jr., Dave Mike May, John Cummings, Andrew Hirsch, Curtis Bear, Brock Kumar, John Albert, Masayua, Buds Roland, James Nemo, Mac House, Reeve Hertz, Philip Wilcoxon, Marie Vivert, Sean Barron, Goggles Pisano, Corporal Nick Lopez, Dom Gazzulo, Nick Nasty, Ian Whitaker, Colin 216, Anthony Latham, Christian, Dave Strong, Matt Stone, Charles Work, Billy Moose Gentry, Mark Burnett II, Andre Griffin, Otis Wolf, Dog Pound Kai, Greg Ehlers, Austin Bolin, Kirkabar, Easley Badge, Joe Hart, Warren Ash, Tyler Chiz, John Kessel, J. Gabriel Wilson, Max Nilikinko, Lydia Mahawk, Jesus Serrano, Chris Phones, Picktown Browns backers, Mark Kahn, Max Owl Dojo, and Water Bear Marketing. Now let's talk about this list and why I'm upset on the behalf of one Nicholas Chubb. All right, man. Now, before this video starts, I'm not bashing Pro Football Focus. I'm not saying they don't know what they're doing. I'm just saying that, every once in a while, everybody is in tune to say some nonsense. Nobody is exempt from it. I'm not exempt from it. ESPN, all these outlets, all these places that talk football, talk sports. Look, every once in a while, you're going to really hang on to an opinion that's just kind of garbage. And it just is what it is, right? Remember when I was on here talking about Kyler Murray was better than Lamar Jackson? We all got our bad ones at the end of the day. So this is just criticism. This isn't, go burn down Pro Football Focus. No, I'm a subscriber. I use their numbers. I think they have good information on there. But this list is foolishness. Now, if you go through this list, right, this is the PFF 50 list. I think this is publicly available, whether you're a subscriber or not. And the criteria of this list reads as such. One of the benefits in watching of grading every player of every NFL season is the unrivaled ability to compare players with the help of the largest football database on the planet. Ranking season has been underway for quite some time at PFF, with everything from the best players at each position to the league's best position groups. But now it's time to throw some love at the best of the best. Today, we start presenting the top 50 players in the league heading into 2021. The ranking below is a prediction of what we think will happen, not necessarily a reaction to a spectacular or underwhelming 2020 season. Additionally, positional value is not considered here. So safeties, guards, even running backs have a good chance to rank highly as quarterbacks, who would normally dominate a list because positional value was heavily favored. Now, even there, it's a kind of a weird one, right? Okay, you're not going to factor in positional value, but how do you kind of separate that from a player's impact on the team in a team sport like football? I can understand in basketball you can kind of separate that because it's ultimately more fluid of a situation. But somebody who plays guard is just not going to be in the same position to change as many plays or his games as somebody who plays tackle or somebody who plays quarterback. So even then, I think not weighing them is a little bit of a mistake just because in football, how do you kind of separate a player from their positional value? I don't think it's really there. So if that's not the case and you're not going to do it, then maybe what you have to say is Derrick Henry is as good as his position as Patrick Mahomes, but doesn't that mean you have to rank Derrick Henry and Patrick Mahomes back to back when you normally wouldn't do that? Like it opens up a whole can of worms that makes it a lot more complicated, but I guess they want to show love to more position groups, so I guess they're doing it this way. But anyways, this is their list, right? And you go through this, and I'm not going to read the whole thing out for you guys. You can go check it out. It's a PFF 50 list. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Quentin Nelson, like the normal names that would dominate a list like this are here. My gripe is with running back, right? Because there's some hocus pocus going on here. Now again, like remember how we were talking about they're not weighing positional value, running backs. Okay, we did that, right? Derrick Henry is ranked 12th on this list. And if you weren't considering positional value, right, you would have to say that Derrick Henry is so good at the running back position that he would have to be at least top 6, right? But he's at 12, even though he had 2,000 rushing yards, like one of the best modern running back seasons. Again, I'm not upset Derrick Henry's ranked above Nick Chubb. That's Derrick Henry deserves it after the season that he had to be ranked above Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's never outran Derrick Henry, so that's fair. They came close in 2019, but ultimately Nick didn't get it done. Then you go here to where I have some real problems with this list. At 28, Dalvin Cook, Minnesota Vikings. Now, let's read the description they have here. Cook continues to outperform the blocking in front of him and earned a 90 PFF grade, the best of his NFL career. The Vikings back averaged 3.1 yards after contact per carry over his NFL career, racking up 91 first downs in 2020 alone. So that's the description there. Okay, whatever. Dalvin Cook. Now, again, they said this list wasn't a reaction to what they did in 2020. That this was a projection into 2021, even though it sounds pretty reactionary. And then we go to 30. Not Nick Chubb. Christian McCaffrey. They put Christian McCaffrey over Nick Chubb. Not just over Nick Chubb. Christian McCaffrey is number 30. Nick Chubb, 37. Christian McCaffrey. Nick, look. I'm not saying Christian McCaffrey's a bad running back. I'm not saying Dalvin Cook's a bad running back. Y'all gonna take them over Nick Chubb? Christian McCaffrey over Nick Chubb? Is that what we doing? Now, I'll explain why I think that's ridiculous to those who don't inherently understand this. But first, let's read their description for why Christian McCaffrey was ranked higher than Nick Chubb. Last season was an injury bust, but McCaffrey still is arguably the most complete running back in the NFL today. He is an elite receiver, but he has carried a full workload from the backfield, unlike other elite receiving options like Alvin Kamara, Austin Eckler. McCaffrey has dropped just 9 of his 388 targets sent his way and has averaged 2.6 yards after contact with an improved scheme and talent group around him. The Panthers fan base can hopefully hope for a bounce back season from their star back. Keep that in mind. Improved scheme and talent group. It's a reason to put Christian McCaffrey higher on the list despite him having an injury-riddled 2020. And even if you just look at the numbers, and I will point them out right here, a pretty bad 2020, honestly. Now, he only played 3 games, but he only ran for 225 yards. He averaged 3.8 yards attempt. He averaged 3.8 yards a carry, which is pretty terrible. Well, it's not terrible. It's just not elite at all. If you look at his career as a rusher, 4.6 yards per attempt. I believe Nick Chubb is a full yard ahead of him in his career and in what he did last year. And look, he's a good receiver. We all know he's a very good receiver. He was a 1,000-yard receiver the year before. But one of the things we have to talk about when we give bonus points to these running backs or these offensive options on bad teams is that sometimes you have those numbers because you are literally the only option on the team. Think about Josh Gordon's super year at wide receiver. Was Josh Gordon good? Absolutely, he was good. But were those numbers boasted a little bit by the fact that the Browns had literally nobody else on the roster to get the football? Absolutely. These are factors. These are things that kind of inflate numbers. Also, when you're on a bad team, you just kind of get more opportunities to get more yards because you're probably playing in garbage time against softer coverages. But again, this is my argument. That's my opinion. There's not a world that I think a GM picks Christian McCaffrey over Nick Chubb and does not regret it. I think that's ridiculous. Now, let's read what they said about Nick Chubb to hear their justification. There is no better pure ball carrier in the NFL than Nick Chubb. Since entering the league, the Browns' back has earned a PFF rushing grade of 92.6. Remember, Dalvin Cook was 90, just behind Derrick Henry, 92.7. Literally fractions of a point off of the guy who's ranked 12. He's 37. This is the part that makes no sense because remember, in the other two descriptions, they brought it up yards after contact. Though Chubb has a better broken tackle rate, having made 168 would-be tacklers miss on 680 carries. So you hear that, right? They just said that Nick Chubb, and one of the most important things that they've been tracking in this list, they brought it up with literally every other running back, Nick Chubb is the best at. He's 37th on this list. The former Georgia standout has been a phenomenal rushing threat, breaking off 101 runs of 10 yards or more in his NFL career, just 19 fewer than Henry on this list. This section has a lot of comparing to Derrick Henry when they're saying he's the fourth best running back in the NFL. So I don't get that, right? He would be ranked higher on this list if he were more of a factor in the passing game. Good Lord. Now, I don't know where this myth came that Nick Chubb was just like a non-factor in the passing game. He dropped 2 passes in Kansas City. Does he regret it? Yeah. Do I regret it? Yeah. Was it frustrating when it happened? Yeah. He only really dropped 2 passes. Other than that, he's been a pretty reliable running back threat all season. How can you penalize him for being on a team that's deep? Right, because one of the main reasons Nick Chubb doesn't have a ton of receptions under his belt is because Kareem Hunt's on the team. And Kareem Hunt is a really good receiving running back, probably on the same caliber, if not just a little bit lower than Christian McCaffrey. So it would be dumb for the Browns not to put him in here, not because Nick Chubb can't do it. He's done it. He did it in the playoff game against Pittsburgh. He's done it multiple times throughout this season. He's had tremendous catches in his career. It's not because he can't do it. It's not because he hasn't demonstrated that he doesn't do it. It's that there's somebody on the team who's better positioned than him to do it. So again, Nick Chubb's being penalized because he's on a good team. Nick Chubb's being penalized because he has a good offensive line, despite him almost getting 1,500 yards behind a bad offensive line in 2019 and also being a pretty decent receiver of the football. But yet he is being penalized because he doesn't receive the ball more in the passing game. He's the best pure ball carrier in the NFL, but he's worse than Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook because he doesn't take enough halfback split screens? Is that not the stupidest joke? Every single thing that they said in that thing was comparing him to the best running back in football. That's what they had to do. Because if they compared him to Christian McCaffrey, if they compared him to Dalvin Cook, who they ranked him over, it would be ridiculous, right? Nick Chubb, right? He averages 5.6 yards per carry last year. Had 1,000 yards, almost 1,100 yards last year in 12 games. That's a ridiculous pace, right? If he would have played the whole season, he could have had over 1,600 yards. That's basically what that pace says. It's almost 100 yards per game, a little bit under that. Christian McCaffrey, right? 3.8 yards per carry last year, 4.6 in his career. Nick Chubb's at 5.6. He's a much better player than Christian McCaffrey. He's a much better running back than Christian McCaffrey. He is one of the best running backs in big runs in NFL. You don't need to get Nick Chubb out on the edge to get him space, to get him a big run. He's just going to do it from the running back position. So why in the world would you waste time having him go back out there as a receiver when you could just hand the ball off to him and get 15 yards? And look, ultimately, if they want to have this close, right, a close race between these three running backs, all right, whatever, they put Nick Chubb like 7 spots below Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook, which is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Everybody knows. It's Derrick Henry 1, Nick Chubb 2, then there's a lot of other running backs that switch around that spot every other year. But since Nick Chubb has gotten starter carry, it's been Nick Chubb 2, Derrick Henry 1. That's been the order. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm super biased or whatever. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you think that 37th and the 4th best running back in football is a good place to put Nick Chubb? Or do you think he's getting disrespected? Let me know your thoughts down below. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.